Conference title races are heating up as the calendar changes to May. We'll take a look at area standings and some of the big games coming up this week. All that and more on this week's installment of Varsity 360, and it starts right now. Hi there, folks. Mark Coleman here from the Virginia Varsity Sports Network, taking a look at this week's top stories in area high school sports. We call it Varsity 360. You can find it each week right here at Fredericksburg.com, the online home of the Freelance Star. Each week I have the pleasure of chatting with some of my good friends from the FLS Varsity crew, part of the sports department focusing on area high school sports. This week I have two of my very favorites from the Freelance Star. We have sports reporter and blogger Nathan Warters. Nathan, welcome.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Also from the Freelance Star, we have assistant sports editor Justin Rice. Justin, welcome.
Such enthusiasm. I appreciate that.
Hey, you know, it's always good to see you guys.
All right.
I can't believe that I get to do this. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Dream small, my friend.
Well, speaking of dreams, the NFL draft is coming up late next week, so we've got a little bit over a week to go. There are some kids from the area that played high school football from the area that are hoping to get that call. That dream still exists for them in another week or so. Nathan, you were involved I read a nice article from you recently in the Freelance Star. Tell me a little bit about these kids and the chances that they have.
That was a great segue, by the way.
Yeah,
Dream,
thanks.
yeah, I liked it. For every Jadavian Clowney and Johnny Manziel, there's hundreds of other guys who are, sitting there waiting anxiously to see if they get a call from an NFL team. And we've got 5 players that played high school ball in the area that are going to be waiting to hear their name called. And I don't know if they're going to get drafted, but I think a lot of them will get a chance to at least get a free agent deal. We've got Dexter McDougal at Maryland, the cornerback, who spent most of the year on the injured list after playing a few games for Maryland and then getting hurt.
Right.
Kerry Wynn from Richmond, he played at Louisa, defensive tackle. He's a hopeful as well. I think both of these guys at least participated or invited to some sort of combine, regional combine, or I know McDougal went to the NFL combine. And then I talked to a couple of fringy guys, Jake Johnson, who played at Stafford a while back, played at Virginia Tech, and then transferred over to South Alabama. He's still kind of waiting for his chance, waiting to get a tryout with a team, wanting to show some teams what he's capable of doing now. He went to the Senior Bowl last year, and then tore his Achilles in the first practice that he had there. So he's still, trying to get, hey, pay attention to me. I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Right.
And then Greg Edwards, a guy from James Monroe, he played at North Carolina Wesleyan. He's another, he's a big receiver. He's trying to build up his speed, trying to get kind of noticed there. He worked out for a couple of teams. He could get drafted or, get a free agent deal as well. And then J.R. Collins from Virginia Tech likely won't be playing on the defensive line like he did at Tech, but he could, play linebacker at the NFL level if he gets drafted or picked up. Another guy who will be waiting to see if he gets his name called there.
It's amazing to see how quickly these kids can progress from the high school to the college to the potential NFL or at least a professional level. Some of these kids, let's be honest, the NFL dream might end for them sometime this summer. They may not get drafted. They might be able to be invited to some camps. Not certainly wishing luck to everyone, but realistically, it's a very slim opportunity for them to play.
Well, getting invited to a camp.
That's huge.
How many kids get that opportunity? A lot of people look at it. There's only 7 rounds in the NFL draft. 32 teams. That's not a lot of spots there.
No,
so
it's not.
If you're getting a free agent deal, and there's a lot of guys who've gotten free agent deals and turned that into an NFL career. So, these guys are just, you got to take each step. And so these guys are just trying to get noticed and then get that opportunity and just kind of keep moving forward. And all these guys are in that picture right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's amazing is just thinking of that there are 5 local kids who were even in that discussion.
Yeah.
That's a big number for this
2
area.
from Stafford.
Yeah, 2 from Stafford, exactly. Stafford High School itself.
Stafford High School, yeah.
And that's of course where Torrey Smith went to high school and so on. And to see those guys come out, I think it really speaks to the level of play in the area and how much it's grown.
And how old do I feel that I covered Jake Johnson and Torrey Smith when they were freshmen at Stafford, and now one's in the NFL, has a Super Bowl ring, and another one's trying to get there. So like you said, these guys move quick. It's the process goes by so quickly, and this is the next crop of guys looking.
I'm glad I don't get any older. Well, let's talk about a couple of the kids that are still at the high school level. Some big news from area high school players in terms of getting some additional offers at the next level for them.
Yeah, Gus Little, the linebacker from Massaponax, tweeted today that he's received an offer from Army, and that increases his offers up to 4 now. He's got an offer from Army, Marshall, ODU, and JMU. Gary Jennings, quarterback for Colonial Forge, who both these guys figured to be really big-time players for us next year in the area. Jennings picked up an offer from Wisconsin. He also made a visit to the spring game this weekend at Kentucky. I'm not sure if he got an offer yet. I know Taft Coghill is working on getting that information for us, but a couple guys that are moving up the recruiting ladder and getting offers here.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Big Ten, SEC teams that are taking looks at these kids.
Yeah.
So that's
that speaks
really
to that speaks to Forge's athleticism last year.
No
they
kidding.
got guys showing up here now getting major college offers.
Yeah.
I think that says highly or a lot about Colonial Forge and what they were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And 7-on-7s are starting for football already. So the football season it really never takes a break anymore.
No,
it
not
is starting
anymore.
to gear up. NFL draft in a little over a week from now. So certainly like to be able to see and hear some area high school football standouts get their names called. I'm sure they'd like to hear that as well. Well, after a bye week essentially based on spring break, the schools are back up and running. However, we have rain. It's been an interesting year, hasn't it, with the snow from the winter sports and now rain. It is spring, but it's playing havoc with some games that really looked like they were going to be exciting for this week that aren't going to happen. They will happen eventually. It's just not right now.
Yeah, we're taping this on Tuesday. It looks like, gosh, I don't know that people are going to be on the field before Thursday or Friday this week. And it was really in a lot of different sports and a lot of the different conferences. This was a pretty critical week, and we started to see some of these showdowns and games that matter come up. And it's going to be a matter in May where if you've got a bunch more rainouts, they're going to have to start looking at some of the non-conference games and maybe axing some of those just to make sure they get the conference matchups in.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and it could be compressed into a really tight schedule there where you've got a bunch of conference games that are going to be played right in front of a conference tournament. So a team that gets hot could really go on a run here.
Yeah, and baseball especially where, pitching and innings limits and pitch limits, gosh, that's going to matter if you're going to get into a week where you have to play 3 critical conference games. Bam, bam, bam. It could matter a lot there. Maybe less so with soccer and softball. There's young kids, they sort of spring back. But with baseball, where the pitching staff is actually measured and limited as to what they can pitch, we'll see how that turns out.
Could be something. Well, let's take a look at soccer, a sport that there may be some area field turf fields that they could play on, so might be able to get some games in this inclement weather. Nathan, Conference 15 looks like there's got some good races going on there.
Yeah, on both the boys and the girls side. It seems to be the best race for both girls and boys. And on the boys side, Massaponax is 2-0 in conference play. Mountain View is right behind them at 1-0-1 with 1 tie. They were scheduled to play today, Tuesday, and they're going to obviously push that one back. So that game will be huge. They only play 5 conference games, so that game could decide Conference 15 for boys.
Sure.
On the girls' side, it seems like there's a lot of undefeated teams right now. There are a lot of undefeated teams. Ponix is 2-0, Mountain View is 2-0, Brook Point's 1-0, North Stafford's 1-0. Brook Point and Mountain View play on Friday. Massaponax and North Stafford play on Friday. Again, Ponix and Mountain View were scheduled to play today, Tuesday, but the rain didn't allow them to do that. In terms of the other races, Conference 4, Forest Park looks like they got a 1-game lead over the boys, Forge boys, and they've got a 1-game lead over Forge girls and Woodbridge's girls. So, our local teams are going to need Forest Park to slip up at least once to even get into the picture there. So, right. And then in Conference 22, on the girls' side, Cortland, who has gotten healthy now. They've gotten all their players back where they were supposed to this week. They're 6-0 in conference play.
Not that it hurt them.
They're running away with it. And then on the boys' side, Chancellor's 4-0, and then Cortland's right behind them at 2-2-2. So it doesn't look like Chancellor is going to have anything to worry about at that point. And I believe Conference 27, they haven't even started. They haven't even played any games that have counted yet. So that race is still to be decided as well. So.
I think 15 is where it's at, especially with Mountain View and Massaponax on both sides. That's where it's going to be at, I think. 22, certainly Chancellor girls or Chancellor boys, Cortland girls.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I think coming out of Conference 4, Forest Park looks like the best team, but then I think you certainly have some local teams with an argument. Could be that second team coming out of there, and I think that's what it's going to be about, getting into the conference tournament and going up there and trying to finish second, or go win it.
Yeah.
Go beat Forest Park.
And we know Forge, their boys and their girls are very talented. These are teams that played deep into the region last year and returned a lot of talent. So, if Forest, like you said, if Forest Park wins, there's still going to be there's going to be plenty of opportunities to make a playoff run there for these teams. So.
Sure. A pretty significant milestone that might happen in the next week with the Chancellor boys coach Webb there is on the brink of a significant number.
Yeah, only 2 coaches in VHSL history have 400 wins, 400 career wins, and Mike Webb is right on the cusp of it. I think he's 2 wins away from the mark, and he's right behind Shelley Blumenthal, the Blacksburg coach who leads VHSL all time with 400. It was 419 leading into the season. I'm not sure how many wins he's got this year, but he's got a chance to move up there and be 1 or 2 in the state in terms of career wins by the end of the year.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. Very impressive. There's no pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty impressive career there.
Well, Coach Webb is a sort of a soccer, I don't know what's the word,
Savant.
landmark, savant. There you go.
It at least gets the alliteration part.
He's certainly an institution in the area soccer teams.
Absolutely.
Been around for a long while. To get to 400 wins, you got to coach for a long, long time. And certainly had some success and good teams in that mix too.
Yeah, no doubt.
And this could be one of his best teams. That's another great thing about this is that he could make this get this mark, and they're a state title contender. They're a very good team, and it could be a special year for Chancellor.
That would be something else. Yeah. Let's switch gears here just a little bit, talk about some baseball and softball. Justin, Conference 22 looks like there's some exciting competition going on there.
Well, you hope we'll get to that point. You mentioned turf fields. Soccer, they have those options. The baseball fields, they don't really have those options.
No.
Fields are going to need to dry out before they get on. But still, it looks like this week is going to be a big week. Even with the rainouts early, Friday night, Conference 22 baseball and softball, King George and Fauquier. This is the first and second place team in both softball and baseball. King George baseball is 4-1, Fauquier baseball is 3-1, King George softball is 4-0, Fauquier softball is 5-0, and those 2 teams match up for the first of 2 matchups between them. And of course, in Conference 22, they all play twice, and every matchup counts. So they're going to play this Friday to sort of set the early standard, and then they'll meet again next May 19th, I think, towards the end of the season. And we'll play again to sort of settle that 1 and 2 seed out of Conference 22. I think especially in baseball, being the 1 seed is distinctly better than being the 2 seed. Just to come out and play a 4 seed or lower instead of having to play the 3 seed in the second round where you need to win to move on.
Right.
I think that being the 1 seed is huge.
Yeah, and there's some, I don't remember how many teams there are in Conference 22, the higher seeded teams actually get a bye in that first round as
exactly.
well. I'm not
exactly.
sure
So you can get a day off by doing that. And again, we were talking about baseball with the innings limit and so on.
If you're packing games in there,
baseball days off are going to be very important in postseason time for certain.
Yeah. Conference 15?
Yeah, Conference 15. Again, we would have liked to seen some of these matchups this week. But there's still some good ones. North Stafford and Massaponax softball, they play on Friday. Brook Point and Mountain View, they play on Friday. Those are 2 teams I really like in Conference 15 softball. Massaponax is 2-0 so far in the conference, and they've got some non-conference wins against some of these other teams, North, Massaponax, Brook. And I think they look like the standard bearers right now. But we'll certainly sort that out. I think who's number 2 among those other 3 teams, that's really interesting to me. What team's going to merge that? And then Conference 15 baseball, Potomac and North Stafford supposed to play on Wednesday. Potomac's 2-0 in conference. North Stafford's 1-0 in conference. Today's Tuesday. I don't think that happens on Wednesday, and you'll see this on Thursday, and then you'll know.
You'll know if Justin was right or wrong.
But if I was a betting man, and you can call me and cash in, I would say that game did not happen on Wednesday. So 4 of the 10 remaining conference games were supposed to be played this week. Not many of those are actually going to happen. So Conference 15 is going to be a little bit up in the air. Conference 4. It was supposed to be a big week for Riverbend. Riverbend was supposed to have Hilton on Wednesday, Stafford on Tuesday. That was going to be a big game. And then on Friday, Forge and Stafford baseball play. And, of course, Stafford gave Forge its only loss in Conference 4 earlier this season in a non-conference game.
Right.
Stafford beat them 4-3. They rematch again on Friday. Should be a big one for Conference 4 baseball. And then Conference 4 softball, Forest Park 3-0. Already has wins over the 3 local schools. Again, that's sort of turning into a race for second place, I think.
Right. What are your thoughts about the teams playing over that spring break week? A lot of them have gone for, down to Disney World or different places to play in, different tournaments. You feel like that's I'm sure it's fun for the players. What do you think that does in terms of maintaining or building momentum for them?
I think fun.
Yeah.
I think team bonding and fun.
Team
these guys are going to get a good chance. It's got to be a good experience, good way to spend your spring break. It's not how I spent my spring break. I don't know. It's not like we all went to Europe for our spring break. So, but those guys, they get a good chance to go out and play some games against some outside competition, measure yourself a little bit, and see how it goes. I think certainly there are good teams that play over spring break, and there are good teams that take spring break off, and there are bad teams that play over spring break, and bad teams that take spring break off. So I'm not willing to draw any kind of causation or correlation just yet.
Okay. I'm trying to follow all that logic, but I remember that it's going to rain on Wednesday, so there won't be any games. Let's leave the prognosticating.
Hey, one more good matchup this week. Conference 27 baseball and softball.
Okay.
Culpeper and Spotsylvania this week. The softball, I'm interested to see Spotsylvania and Culpeper. Culpeper's 2-0 in Conference 27 softball. Spotsy hasn't played their first game yet. They're going to play on Friday, and Spotsy and Kettle Run play on Thursday in softball. Kettle Run not without a Conference 27 win in the books yet, or Conference 27 game, but they do have non-conference wins against Fauquier, who we've said is very good in Conference 22. Eastern View, maybe the third best team in Conference 22. They've already beaten Culpeper in a non-conference game. Kettle Run, team to watch. Spotsy playing Kettle Run on Thursday.
All right.
I think that those are teams to watch as Conference 27 finally gets to where it's playing conference games.
Great. Nice tidbit there.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, hopefully the weather will clear up, the rain will dry out. We'll have some pretty flowers to get some games in.
You know what? The state tournaments are starting at the end of May, beginning of June. One way or another, there will be games played at some point.
Yeah. It's not quite as bad as it was in the winter sports where they were trying to reschedule postseason games because of the snow and schools being closed and things of that nature.
Don't forget the season got pushed back because of the snow.
That's right.
I know every coach in the area is just completely annoyed by weather in any form. So
you were talking about spring break being the disruptor. There can't be anything more the disruptive than if you're a softball or baseball team, you're not going to see the field Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, maybe Thursday. I think Friday looks pretty good. Friday. So you're
supposed to be a nice weekend.
Yeah, a 4-day disruption to your schedule, and then you get the weekend. So then you have 2 more days off. You're going to go one day this week. That's how it's going to go. Coaches got to be just hating it.
Yeah. But it's the equalizer. It counts the same against everyone.
That's true enough.
That's the way it works. Well, always a lot of fun chatting sports. Always fun doing that with you folks. Certainly enjoy the opportunity each week. Thanks for joining. And why don't we try to do it again sometime?
Hey, maybe next week.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Well, that will do it for this week's installment of Varsity 360. Appreciate Justin Rice and Nathan Warters joining us. As always, from the FLS Varsity team, log on to flsvarsity.com to keep up with all the latest in area high school sports. Follow them on Twitter. They are at FLS Varsity. For the Virginia Varsity Sports Network, I am Mark Coleman. Thanks for watching, everyone.